I really love the book of Esther. If you've never read the book of Esther, go read it. If you have read it, go read it again. There is a lot of wisdom in this book, and there's a lot of spiritual identifications in this book that you see manifest within the actual book itself. So what I want to do is I want to get into Esther chapter 5, verses 11 through 14. But before we get into that, I want to give a backstory of what's happening. So at this point, you have Esther, who is now the queen. You have Mordecai, who is Esther's uncle and was her legal guardian. And then you have a man named Haman, who at this point is being promoted. He's being promoted and he's getting power. So Haman has gotten the king to pass a law that is going to allow the Jews to be killed, to be utterly destroyed. Because of this, Mordecai is at the king's gate crying for the Jews. Esther, by this point, is also pleading for the Jews, and she has gotten the king to agree to come to a banquet, which she invited Haman to. So now Haman has just been promoted. He's leaving the king's palace. He sees Mordecai outside the king's gate, and he's upset because Mordecai will not give him any type of respect. Mordecai does not care because Mordecai serves God. So let's just get into chapter 5, 11 through 14, and it says, "And Haman told them of the glory of his riches, and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said moreover, Yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou and merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made." So Haman now is so done with Mordecai that he's going to go to the king the next day to a banquet and tell him that Mordecai should be hung on the gallows. So now what's happening is he's got this giant gallows set up outside of his house. He's got a giant rope. He's going to get him hung. So fast forward, he goes to this banquet thinking that he is, the person in honor there. And it turns out that Esther had wanted him there because she was going to confront the king about what law had passed to get the Jews destroyed. And she basically tells the king that this man Haman has been plotting against my people, the Jews, to be killed. So now the king is furious. The king is upset that he's even in this situation where he has to put his queen and this man that he put in position, he has to come between the situation and figure out what's going on. And it turns out her people are set to be killed by this man and what this man had done. He leaves the palace. He kind of goes out into the courtyard. So while he goes out to the courtyard, Haman is now pleading with Esther. Esther's sitting on a bed. He gets on his knees on the bed towards her and is pleading, "Please talk to the king. Don't let him take my life." So now the king comes back in. He sees Haman trying to talk to Esther on the bed, and he's thinking, is he going to try to force my wife also in my presence? So now this is the part that I want to get into. So the guards now have Haman. He has just been exposed for the plot that he has made. He has just been exposed for what he has done. So the guards grab Haman, and then this is what happens. Esther 7, 9 through 10 says, "And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold also, the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified." So when you think about this, Haman has created a weapon to destroy Mordecai. The weapon did not prosper. And now we go into Isaiah 54:17. "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord." So now we see a spiritual truth playing out in real time. Haman created the weapon. Haman had the weapon ready. Haman was in a place of position. Haman was ready to get Mordecai killed. But the weapon that he created did not prosper and in fact turned upon his own head. And then, like the rest of the verse says, and every tongue that rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. So Haman's tongue rose against Mordecai. His tongue rose against the Jews, and in the end, all of it did not prosper, and he was condemned. He hung on the same gallows that he had created. So this is the truth. Weapons might form against you, but no weapon formed against you shall prosper. We got to see it right there in real time. Haman created a device, it did not prosper. Haman's tongue rose against the Jews, it did not prosper. God will not allow your enemy to prosper over you. Whatever weapon these people are forming against you, whatever weapon your enemies are forming against you, whatever weapon is forming against you in the spiritual world will not prosper. It will all come to naught, and you will prevail, because that is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. So I just want to encourage someone out there that even though there are weapons that may be forming around you in your life, even though there are things that you're going through, even though the spiritual warfare is happening, it will not prosper. It will not prevail. God does not allow the enemy to win or triumph. It might happen for a season, but it does not prevail. And in the end, it all comes to nothing. And God is always in control, and God is sovereign. So be encouraged with that message, and just remember that God is always in control.